I've just sanded them off, laid them in the frames here with pretty much the gap that I want. The frame's very slightly out of square here, but I'll be able to pull that into shape when I fit it. I want that gap to be correct there. Same on this one, same on that one. What I'll do is put a little pencil line with an X next to it to dictate where my hinges are going to go. And I'm using these, quite expensive for what they are, but they're nice hinges. No play in them. I had a choice of 63 or 75. I should have maybe got 63 for these ones, but I wanted to keep them the same. Be alright. So I'll put a pencil line. I was just asked why I use this glue. Normally I use the 30-minute stuff. Depends on this job. No particular reason apart from it's easy to clean off. You know, it sands off and you can scrape it out of here quite easily. But in winter, I know it goes off fast, so it's definitely gonna be dry by next day. PVA glue, that can, when it gets frosty in here, it gets down to minus something, whatever it is outside, and PVA can crack. I've had it in the past where I put PVA on, it's frozen overnight, and it just falls off. It just becomes shite. But sometimes I definitely want a waterproof glue. Like this stuff. It says exterior all-purpose weatherproof, you see. It says exterior and interior grey, but it's weatherproof, not waterproof. I definitely know that this stuff's waterproof, so sometimes maybe in a kitchen I'll use that. This stuff, because of its like foamy quality, it's got a little bit of flex to it. PVA can be quite hard and brittle. Like I said, no reason in this case really. Sometimes I glue things up earlier on in the day and I want to sand them later on in the day maybe. I know that the PU glue goes off in a couple of hours. And finally, I've lost all my pencil marks, and when I put these grooves in, where's my offcut? When I put the groove in, I didn't put it central because sometimes it just looks a bit thick. I'll put that in there, look. See, that's the front as it is on the doors, and that's the back. And there's next to nothing in it, but sometimes it just looks a bit fat, a bit deep. I prefer it a bit slimmer. I put an X just to show which is the front face. I can't find a jig that's quite right. I'm just about to fit these hinges. This one, it's not right, it looks a bit manky. So I've cut myself another piece of ply, bit of batten to go on. I'll super glue that on. Put it in the vise for 10 minutes, go have a cup of tea while that dries. It dries instantly, but it dries better if you leave it for 10 minutes. I think that's rubbish now. So that's dried now. It's important that you get this flush, otherwise all your marks will be out. But what I've done is drawn that on there, the distance I want, which is just short of half the knuckle. Now I'll stand that in there, set my depth, and chop that out. Right, there's just the tiniest little bit of play. 0.5 mm. But that'll do. I've already looked at the gap on here, and I want to take just enough so that these are just showing. I can always take a little bit more out later. So two of these on there. These ones are sitting pretty fat, but sometimes the knuckle raises it up, so you sit the router right on the edge there. I can sit these on there. Right, so I've got my 2 hinges sat on there. That's loose. So I'll just sit that down just so that it's just touching the wood. Lock that off. This has got a little millimetre guide, so I'm going to knock this down just a fraction, because I don't want it the full depth. So that should be just short of the wood now. Yeah, just a fraction. Right, a blade cuts that way, so the first cut I'll run across here so the wood doesn't splinter out, it's cutting into the wood, but just a little score cut, stop it breaking out, and then work my way around. That is just a fraction higher. So this little burr here, if you sand it that way, you just lay the fibres flat. It's easier to do it that way, and they come off. Same with that. And this little corner cutters, it's only got like little flat bits, little short flat bits, so sometimes it's a little awkward to get in. So I line that face up with that. Try and line that up. You can sort of feel when it's sitting, but it's not very comfortable. Can't get me chiseling. Yeah, just like that. Do the doors now. So I'm just laying my hinges out here. See what it looks like. Put it on widescreen. There you go. These are fine. Should have maybe got the 63 ones for there. It'll be okay. These screws that came with the hinges, these packets, best thing to do with them is throw the fuckers away. The very first one I put in snapped straight away. I only got it in about 1/2 inch. Load of crap. 6s are just a little bit too big, 3/4 6s, so I had to go with 5s, but they're only 5/8, but they seem to bite in quite well. So we'll see. 1, 2. Not bothered about these little screw holes. Push some of the wood back in the hole. It's going to get painted, and once it's inside there you don't really see it. Fill and paint them. Just done the frame, exactly the same. That's looking good. Same with that one. Good. What I need to do is fold that over, put something on it to hold it up. And it looks weird in this light. Fold it over. Get some screws in it, see what it swings like, see how much I've got to put on I've got to plane a leading edge on here. I'll get them hanging first. Weird, isn't it? I've looked into strip lights, LED strip lights from my local shop. They're cheaper than on Amazon, so I'll get some of them. I need quite a few though. You see that one fits in, but that one is the tiniest amount off. I'm just going to run my knife up there. So you can hardly even see it. I'll cut that a little bit off. Don't know if you can see, but that's all it was that was stopping it going in. And that's both of them on. Normally they work out really well, but this is too high. These two are too high. So it means that this hinge and this hinge just need a fraction off a millimetre, less than a millimetre. That'll swing that down, make this gap parallel. But I'm going to do this one first. I'll deal with that later. Right, I've got them pretty much as I want them to be. Gaps are okay around the edges. I think that runs out by just a fraction. I think I'm going to ignore that. Looks very slightly tighter at the bottom here. And this one, it's a bit more of a gap than I intended. But I've stood it up there and it looks okay, so I'm going to wing it, let it go. At the very least I can put a packer in the hinges, but they look quite big already. I normally work on 2mm, but then when I get them on site I wish I'd made them bigger because they look tight, and especially once they get painted there'll be at least a millimetre of paint on it. So anyway, handles, finger pull handles, they're going in the middle, and I was going to consider making these different size to them, but this jig, I'm going to use this jig, and I think they'll be okay for that, and I think they'll be okay for that, not too big for that. So I'll set my router up and get them cut. I decided to do it while they're on here, because then I can tweak it if I need to, and sit them down, lift it up, recut them if I have to. I'll spin it around, do the other one. Don't know if I can do it backwards. So just before I cut it, I put a pencil line on both of them, squared it across. And I'm just working to this inside face here, so it should match up. So it's pretty good, is that? Just enough to get your fingers in. Ah, nearly there. I've got to put two 30mm strips on here for the return. These are going to stick out in front of the fire breast. One on this side. This one will be going up against the wall.